What?
Uh-oh!
Did you see the second Incredibles?
It's iconic! No, I didn't see it.
It's iconic.
It's iCarly!
You haven't?
No.
You haven't?
How many
have.
times have you seen it?
Once.
Once?
Every single hour.
27.
Freya, why don't you give other people a chance, okay? There's nobody in the room.
No, I was, well, you know, I've had time. So.
I've had time, but I haven't used that to watch The Incredibles.
I looked at I think it was last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at the tickets for Friday, and they were sold out, and that's as much effort as I put into it.
So you're never going to see it?
Never.
Okay.
No, I do want to see it in the theater. It's just a matter of seeing it in the theater.
Going there to watch.
What are we going to talk about today?
I don't know. What makes you think I know?
Let me give you some briefing topics. Marijuana, bacteriophages, black hole bombs, time,
Black hole bombs.
egoistic altruism.
I've
Just
never
stop
heard
me
of
when you want one. String theory,
Marijuana.
homeopathy, the great filter, universal basic income, the cure to aging, ending aging, the sun, designer babies, internet data and privacy, measles.
Weasels.
Oh, you want weasels? Okay, we'll do weasels. In the beginning, Neptune created the weasel.
And that was it.
And
The rest is evolution.
well, now we're here.
Abortion.
Abortion. Abortion.
That's all I can think of. Concealed handguns, cell phone radiation,
Concealed cell phones.
drinking
handgun
age,
radiation,
electoral college, gay marriage, golf, gun control, illegal
electoral
immigration,
golf, gay college.
gay immigration.
Is that like a thing that people talk about? The immigration of gay people?
Milk. That's
Yo,
what
you've read off this list before. I remember this.
medical marijuana, milk, minimum wage, Obamacare, obesity, Olympics, prostitution, social media,
Olympic prostitution?
gay prostitution.
What would we talk about with the Olympics?
Um,
I guess we could talk about whether there should just be one host city or whether it should go around. We could talk about what types of things should and shouldn't be in the Olympics.
people who say the Olympic Games are an overall benefit to their host countries and city-states, and that the Games increase valuable tourism, which can boost local economies, create a sense of national pride, and increase a country's global trade and such.
But I like this one, and I like this one, and I hate
like
this
one.
Olympics.
and I like this Olympics.
The Olympic Committee trying to pick the city. But I like this one, and I like this one. We'll just do all of them. Actually, no. But I like this one.
But I like Sochi, and I like Los Angeles. That was Winter and Summer Olympics.
Yep.
Student loan, video games and violence.
If we were to talk about the Olympics, what's the problem that we're trying to solve?
Well, a lot of Olympic buildings after the Olympics are held in a certain city are just abandoned and left there to rot, and it costs a lot of money. and it's kind of,
Okay, so that one's
bad.
that one's on the table. If we were to talk about the American dream, what would be the problem? I guess it would be, do we think it's still, or what is it, and do we think it's still alive? And if it's not, how do we fix that? And if it is, how do we fix that? And if it's both, how do we do nothing?
How do we do nothing? I don't know.
But
Pop.
people aren't gonna get that.
Yes, they will.
I'll overlay the song right now.
Did you learn something? Probably not. Vegetarianism.
Freeform jazz.
Freeform vegetarianism. Quinoa.
Okay, so we could talk about
Quinoa.
quinoa. We could talk about quinoa. We could talk about gay immigration. We could talk about the Olympics, and we could talk about the American dream.
All into one.
The Olympic gay quinoa dream.
Of immigration.
So what's the problem?
It exists. How do we get rid of it?
Okay. So it's your show. Unless you have anything else, I say we choose out of one of those four things.
Okay, we can choose out of one of those four things. Because standardized tests. We don't have...
Oh, we could talk about standardized tests.
Oh, we couldn't talk about that.
Oh, that's dumb.
Where'd you get that stupid idea?
Stupid.
Stickers. Commercial. Family company.
Johnson is the stick. Get paid enough.
That'd be such a good ad.
I don't know why David didn't like it.
I also think...
SC.
Do you know... I don't remember if I told you this, but you know the Geico commercials where it's like, because it's like, because
Yeah, I love that.
switching to Geico is always a good answer. Like someone says something and they said, well, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
If you put that into Family Feud, that would be hysterical.
Well, now you have to say it.
Barbara, tell me something a husband doesn't want to hear his wife say on a Saturday morning. Well, Steve, switching to Geico can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Car insurance! Ding! Ding, 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 ding. Ah! Good answer! And then over that, you have... Yeah. Well, not that, but yes.
Walls collapsing in.
And then over that, you just have Steve Harvey's face in disbelief, and then it's like...
And then the Geico logo comes
Yeah.
up. 15 minutes could save you 15%
Because switching to
or more
Geico
on
is
car
always a good
insurance.
answer.
Yeah, that's a good ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good ad.
No, that's a bad idea.
All right, so we need to pitch an ad to SC Johnson, and we need to pitch an ad to Geico.
What if they steal it?
Okay, so we need to produce an ad for SC Johnson, and we need to produce an ad for Geico. All we need is a Family Feud set, Steve Harvey, 2 teams, a Ford Fusion, an
Barbara.
audience, and we need the Geico announcer.
That's what we're going to talk about.
That's something I've always wondered. If you have an idea for an advertisement, like if we were to bring it to Geico, is there any way that could ensure that we get compensated for that? I think they could just say, no, it's a trash idea. And then we walk out, and the minute that we step out the door, they're like, all right, let's do that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really...
No, unless you have
commercial.
unless you have some sort of ranking behind you, I guess. Unless you have a contract, then they can do whatever they want with the ideas that they're given.
Yes. Stupid.
But honestly, I'd kind of just be glad that it exists.
I know. I don't care. I don't care about the ad at all. I just know.
Unless it blows up, then I want part of the money. Money. We can keep doing this. Yes.
We are discussing your actions. He's getting mugged! Well, let's hope we don't cover him.
I'll be be right back.
Stop right there. You're fired. Close the door.
Get over here. Now.
He got away! It's a good thing, too. For a second there, you almost lost your...
Goes through buildings. Goes around the globe.
Uh-oh!
I'm fired, aren't I? No, you're not. Oh, good. No problem. No movie. It's just 20 minutes.
Dun, 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 dun.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So what are we going to talk about?
I don't know. It's your show. Why don't you make a decision?
I don't want to make a decision.
5, 4,
5,
3,
3,
2,
1,
1,
1.
0,
Olympics.
1. Okay, let's talk about that.
And maybe we can relate that to something else.
I think that's a good topic because there is nothing more global than a global competition.
Or the Earth.
Or nuclear war.
Or the Olympics.
Or that SC Johnson commercial that we want to produce.
My stupid sticker. That's what genius puts a sticker on a TV screen.
Stupid.
I paid enough for this.
Sticker paper.
We could make so much money! But we're not going to do that.
What episode number is this?
7?
Viewers, we're back with episode 8. It's been a couple weeks since we did this because, well, one of us went to Cape Cod.
You.
By which we mean that they went to work.
I went to Cape Cod.
So we had to take a little break. But we're back. And today we're going to talk about possibly the most global problem we've ever talked about.
Which is...
Quinoa.
Yes, quinoa.
So the problem is that quinoa exists. So how do you solve that?
You destroy it.
Well, I hope you learned something, and I hope that was helpful.
Da 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 da.
So today we're talking about the Olympics, and we're going to listen to the national anthem, and then we're going to move on to the topic. But before that, we have to read the letter from Danny.
Letty, we got another one.
The letter from Danner.
The letter from Danner.
The letter from dinner.
Dinner's letter.
So, last time we got a letter from Danny's parents, and I don't really remember what that said. But this time, we have an actual letter from Danny himself.
It said something about war.
Yeah, and today he said that this is his only form of contact, as he's been taken as a prisoner of war abroad, and he desperately needs our help and our help only, because he only had one letter to send, and he wanted to send it to us.
Moving on. So
today we're going to talk about the Olympics.
yes.
Why don't you introduce the topic?
So the Olympics.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
I think we have two main problems with the Olympics right now. One of those is that the Olympics gets tossed around between a bunch of different host cities. And then once they're done, those buildings don't always get used, and it's really expensive for the city. And I think a lot of times it turns out to be a bad investment. So the question was, Northeastern. Yo, cheekies.
Because
The
15
question
minutes.
was...
Because 15 minutes. That's it. I don't know what that means.
The question was, should we create an Olympic island?
An Olympic island.
Yes. Or
Human-
an Olympic planet. Or an Olympic star system. Or an Olympic universe. Which of those
Let's
would
start
you
with
prefer?
island.
An Olympic island where we can host all of the Olympics and never have to worry about putting it in another city.
I mean, some cities do make money off of the Olympics because obviously they get a lot of tourism and people from other countries, and then they come here and they're enjoying the new place and they're buying things. So it's not all a bad thing. Like they're making some kind of bank in the process.
Making bank.
They're building a bank.
The bank.
Anyway.
You click that a little harder.
I have a new one.
You're hurting me inside when you do that.
Does that pain you? Anyway, so
I said click up.
So obviously the country that hosts the Olympics needs to spend a lot of money. Sorry, I was just staring at the moving cat.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
For viewers, it's not a real cat. It's one of those waving Asian cats that you get on Amazon for like $8, and it's
for like $8 million.
And its arm just waves back and forth when it's under light. So I got that as a graduation gift.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Because I've expressed interest in those before.
In Asia?
No.
Oh.
So this is gonna be on every desk that I ever own for the rest of my life. And
the same one?
The same one.
You're gonna bring it to every desk that you bring?
And he will just be waving on for the rest of my existence.
So if you fire somebody, he's waving them goodbye.
Goodbye!
Goodbye!
I could put a little speaker in there and record myself saying that.
Record it right now, so that way you'll never forget.
And I'll bring my picture of Steve Harvey with me. That's the kind of look that he would give Barbara. Now, Barbara.
Now hold on a second.
Barbara, that was a great answer!
Instantly goes to 3.
Other team instantly wins fast money.
So the Olympics, countries have to spend a lot of money on building stadiums, buildings. Yes, so obviously they have to plan it years in advance, and once they're used during the Olympics, then they have really no other purpose, so they just kind of sit there and rot and are abandoned, and then eventually they're knocked down, but it's just seems a little wasteful. So what's the better way that we could come up with that wouldn't deteriorate from the fun of the Olympics while also being not as expensive?
Well, let's make it clear that some cities do use their facilities. I went to Whistler in Vancouver, and they held the Winter Olympics in 2014, and they're a big ski resort, so they continue to use a lot of their facilities there.
Yeah,
because
I'm sure not all of them are.
I think it's really applicable.
I mean, somewhere like Brazil, I'm sure they're using...
Brazil was the prime example of how it didn't get used at all after the Olympics. Like 3 months after, it looked like it was completely run down. So, let's talk about the real purpose of the Olympics here, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Freya, give someone else a turn.
What do you think the purpose of the Olympics is?
To represent your team and compete, because I think it's tradition at this point. So, it's just a way for countries to sort of like a unified event that everyone comes together, and they have where the athletes are walking with the flags and everything, and you're seeing your team walk down, and you're like, yeah, that's my country. So,
yeah.
Yes! No! So I think it's about pride and rooting your country on so they can win, and at the same time enjoying a little friendly competition between other countries and enjoying sport, enjoying the rush of the heat of the moment.
So you just think it's supposed to be a friendly competition?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's... I mean, I guess you could, but I don't think countries really get bragging rights if they win a ton of medals.
No, they do.
Really?
If you think
We've won so many medals in so many Olympics.
If you think about the United States versus Russia hockey team during the Cold War...
Okay, well...
that was not a friendly match.
Well...
Okay?
That doesn't really have to do with the Olympics.
That was fighting to the death. No, it wasn't Olympic.
No. I know. I understand. But that wasn't having to do with the Olympics. It's not like because of the Olympics, because we're both there, we suddenly have this hatred for one another. It was more about history in the past, and then they're confronted face to face. So
History
it's
in the future.
history, back to the future, back to the past, back to the present. We're in the present.
Presents, Christmas, Santa,
Waving cat. Goodbye.
I think you're right. And I don't really know how the Olympics started. I don't know if it was mainly about competition or it was just a little friendly game. But I think that's how it is and how it should be treated today. It's kind of weird to think about it, but there's really no purpose for it. It's just a fun thing we do on Earth.
Yeah.
To enjoy our time here and appreciate how big of a world it is. So then, if we were to create one spot where the Olympics are, don't you think that kind of undermines the globalness of it?
Kind of. Like, the rush that you kind of get from it is... The Russians that you get. I mean, you can watch it, like, on your TV at home, or if you really want to go to, like, a place, you guess you could. But when it's hosted, like, in your country, I'm sure it's a lot more amped up than it normally is.
I think it definitely is. Yeah. And I think it's more exciting to watch the Olympics every year when it changes places. Because if you're watching and it's like, oh, this year it's in Japan, I wonder what they're going to do for their little opening. And it'll be nice to see some shots of Tokyo and the stadiums around it and, like, things like that. And if you put it in...
So if it was hosted in one place, it would get boring?
I think so. Like...
Unless you knock it down every 4 years and rebuild it. But that's...
That's an idea. If... I mean, obviously, the main focus is the game. It's the people competing. But I think there's something special about seeing the change in scenery every time. Granted, what they could do is they could create this Olympic island. Mm-hmm. By the way, where do you think that should be if we were to do it?
I was going to bring that up. I don't... Antarctica? Maybe, no, not Antarctica. I'm trying to think of a place that's... Because countries are going to have arguments of, this is too far away, it's too close, why are you... I don't know. Maybe just in the middle of the Pacific Ocean?
Okay, it's tough, because I was thinking, yeah, middle of Pacific Ocean sounds good, because, well, it's the biggest ocean, and you may as well put it in the center of there, because, one, you have India and Asia. I guess India is part of Asia. You have Asia.
I guess you have, like, China and Asia.
You have Asia, which is the most populous continent. It has, like, 2 or 3 billion people on the left, if you're looking at it from the perspective that I'm imagining. And then you have North America on the right, which is the second most populous continent.
So it makes logical sense.
So it makes logical sense that it's right in the middle, and then, well, Europe and Africa and kind of get screwed on the distance. But
I mean, you have to put it somewhere.
You do have to put it somewhere. I think that but then people are going to be upset with that, of course. If we put it in Antarctica, I feel like that's a little better in terms of neutral territory, but at the same time, then it's, like, far for everybody, and you can't really host the Summer Olympics at the bottom of the globe. Beach volleyball.
What's her name? Who's the woman?
Michelle Obama.
No. Michelle Obama with the spike. What's her name? Beach.
I
know her name.
No, you don't. That's
Carrie Walsh. That's it. Carrie Walsh.
Never heard that name.
You've never heard Carrie Walsh?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've never heard of it. She plays beach volleyball for Bangladesh, huh?
Right, that's why I looked up Carrie Walsh, United States. Well, I didn't look that up. I have searched U.S. Olympics teammates volleyball. Well, Bangladesh.
Obviously, we're reaching a bit of a sore spot, so we're just going to move along from this point really quickly. Here's an idea.
Yeah, okay. I see it.
You know,
No, not really. You need to sort of say it.
Put the Olympic Island on the moon.
How are you going to do that? Because that would cost way more money. Shipping, water, and... water.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to implement. You'd have to ship the water for the pool over to the moon, and then it's like you dive into the pool and the water would rise up and it would just sort of stay there for like 20 seconds as it falls back down really slowly. I could pay to see that.
But how would we compete at all?
What?
How would we compete?
You know, everyone flies to the moon and...
Right, but that's so much more expensive than just building it in one
Maybe
city.
in like 100 years we can do that.
Sure. Fine.
Oh, here's an idea.
Oh.
In 1,000 years.
In 1,000.
When we have expanded to different planets.
Yeah.
Where do we hold the Olympics? Earth? Earth? Earth?
Maybe that one.
Mars?
No.
Should we just keep the Olympics as an Earth thing and then we have like a big Olympics?
A bigger Olympics?
For the solar system and then a biggest Olympics for the universe?
I mean, it's going to require some coordination and emails, but...
That's not important right now. So, middle of the Pacific? That's really far away from everybody.
But at least everyone is...
Even from...
At least no one has an advantage.
No, people do have an advantage.
No, but like...
No!
It's far enough away, so it's like a big trip for anybody. Like if you're from Hawaii... Actually, no, Hawaii will have it pretty easy.
Yeah, they will. The U.S. team is going to rapidly gain a bunch of Hawaiian competitors. It's going to be so close. The alternative is that you could put it... Ooh, here's an idea.
Ooh.
Here's another idea.
Oh.
And it's not about the moon.
Okay.
Here's an idea.
Mars.
You, the Olympic Committee, President, Chairman of the Olympic Committee, Bradley Shawford.
Yeah.
I just came up with that name.
Okay, I didn't believe you.
You, Bradley Shawford, say to the world, here's the deal. We're not moving city to city anymore. We are going to put the Olympics in one place, and we are going to keep it there. Whoever bids the highest gets it.
But who does it go to? The Olympic Committee?
What?
Bids the highest of what? I will pay this much money.
Each country is gonna...
Yeah. Where does the money go? You just burn it and then that's it?
No, it's just whoever can bid the most. They don't actually have to, but if they could, then they win.
But that's...
I didn't think of that.
5,000. 6,000.
27 billion trillion million. Do you actually have that? Yes, we do have that money. Okay, Russia. 28 billion.
Infinity.
Well,
infinity times infinity.
It looks like Russia with infinity times infinity will be taking the cake.
It's like a sucky Olympics. Like 2 buildings.
But just think of how much countries would want that. To hold the Olympics in their country every single time.
That would be pricey if you had to do it every 4 years. That would cut major into...
Well, they'd have to build the facilities.
Yeah.
And then I guess it would be quite an expense to run it. But, I mean, you have the budget of a whole country behind it.
And you
gain lots of tourists.
Because...
But then there's the thing of it's not as interesting because it's in the same spot every year.
Yeah.
So if people say, "Oh, well, we went to America 4 years ago. I don't really care about going again." So, okay, that's not a good idea.
Okay, so what was your second idea?
Well, the thing I was going to suggest was that instead of just putting it in the center of the Pacific Ocean, why don't you put it somewhere so at least somebody is close and benefits instead of forcing everybody to travel for
miles and miles.
Miles and miles. How about you give some people benefits and
others
give some people good lives.
Separate but equal.
You give some people the benefits and everyone else suffers, as opposed to every single person in the world suffering and nobody getting
I
the
guess that's
benefits.
better, but you're gonna experience more disagreement of who gets benefits and who doesn't.
I think that's a classic economic question as to whether you should have people of great wealth and people who are very poor, or whether you should just distribute the wealth so that everyone's just sort of okay.
Communism.
So why don't you answer that for me?
Goodbye, Kerry Walsh.
I mean, goodbye, Kerry Walsh. Yeah, here's an opposite day. Beach volleyball.
Can't zoom in anymore.
It's the very end. Oh. How old is she, do you think?
Like 60.
Good, good.
She's 39.
So, let's say that we put it in the center of the Pacific Ocean.
Yep.
First of all, we'd have to build an island. Or we could just find one. But
You could
it'd
just find an island. You could just put it on Hawaii.
No, because that's U.S. territory.
I know, but
Okay, so let's say that you find an island that nobody's found before. Unlikely, but let's say you did it. And then you put this Olympic place on there. Who's going to pay for it?
everyone?
Everyone who participates?
Yeah, I'd say so.
How do you split it? Everyone pays an equal percentage of the total cost?
Yeah, something proportional to how wealthy the country is. Obviously, you can't charge the same amount for everyone because some people are gonna have it easier than others.
I don't know if that's the best way to do it. I feel like you might want to charge it proportional to the number of athletes that are competing.
The number of athletes, so you have to pay for your athletes to attend.
No, I mean that if the U.S. has 60 Olympic athletes across the entire Summer Olympics, and something like Madagascar has 15, who participate in many fewer events, then Madagascar should pay 1/4 of what the United States pays. But if Madagascar is sending...
But Madagascar is nearly as rich as the United States, I'm sure.
You think
So, what?
You think so?
Yes.
Did you say isn't or is?
Is not.
Okay, I thought you said is.
No.
300 million people. Like
300
2
people. Okay.
This is an interesting problem.
So do you charge it if, say, like, I don't know, throwing numbers, like 0.5% of the country's total worth goes to the Olympics, right? Just some number. Do you also have to contribute the cost of the athletes for the...
Well, I think that's separate. Because, of course, each year you would have to... The Olympic consortiums of each country would have to pay to ship their athletes to this Olympic
But let's say a
island.
country doesn't want to participate. Do they have to pay at all?
No.
Okay. So
But
you have to pay like
maybe
a
it should
down
be like-
payment
may-
of this amount of money, and then for every athlete that you put into the Olympics, you need to add a little bit more.
The question is, if a country doesn't want to participate in the Olympics today, so they don't pay for it, should they be able to participate in the Olympics later, in like 10 years? They say, oh, we want to send some athletes,
I think so.
but they didn't pay for it.
They didn't pay for what?
They didn't pay for the Olympic island. They didn't help pay
Oh.
for it. Because 10 years ago, they didn't send any athletes. And if you
maybe this is just like a payment of, if you ever want to participate in the Olympics, this is the time to pay. Otherwise, we can't guarantee you admission into Northeastern University. What
about new countries? South Sudan.
I don't know. I guess you could just ask them if they have any interest in the Olympics and then work out a deal.
The problem is that if you say, well, everyone who currently participates in the everyone who's going to participate in the Olympics next year at the Olympic Island will fund the Olympics. Everyone's just going to say, oh, well, I mean, I guess we won't participate next year. We'll just sit out for a year while they build the island and everyone else can pay, and then we'll jump back in the year after. So obviously that won't work.
What if you didn't limit it to one island? You broke it up everywhere. So that way each country held, well, not every country because there aren't that many events, but major countries would host certain events. So like US would do like volleyball, and Brazil would do soccer, and then I don't know, Mexico would do volleyball. I think
the problem with that is that you have to send your athletes all over the world. I think they prefer to be together in one place.
Okay.
I think the solution is that you build the Olympic Island, or you find the island. Then each country can decide. I don't know how they would decide this, because again, I was going to say each country can bid for which building they would like to build. Let's say the US wants to build the soccer arena, the soccer field, and the Chinese want to build the beach volleyball courts, and then each country that wants to build something gets to build something. And that way, it's like a big advertising thing almost, because each country wants to have the best building.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, they're kind of competing for the best buildings, and you'll end up with, well, great architecture and great facilities. I just hope that countries would actually want to do that, would actually want to build something there.
Yeah.
And then there's the question of, maintenance.
Who's going to run it?
Who's going to run it? I mean, obviously the Olympic Committee will, but who is going to, pay for the staff to build the walkways that go between the buildings, or flesh out the island, and like, I guess one solution is, I've got it.
Say it.
I've got it.
Go.
I have it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Goodbye.
Actually, I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, the Olympics should become a country. Country, Olympia. And then Olympia hosts the Olympics every year, and they build a little society on the island where they have people who can live there, and shops, and a bunch of tourist attractions, and each country can purchase a plot of land where they can build their stadium. And the countries that bid the highest for that land to Olympia get to build it there, because in case that a lot of people want to build it, and they bid for the specific events too, because you obviously don't want multiple soccer places.
All right. But what's the problem with that?
The problem is that when you have a country running it, I think it would be really difficult to have that country be completely impartial.
Yeah.
They might have some sort of agenda, political agenda to follow.
Okay.
Their own political agenda.
Who's going to make up...
If they have residents on the island, I'm sure that will happen, because residents equals politics.
Yeah. But who are those residents? Where are they coming from? Anywhere?
People that want to buy land there.
Okay.
It'd be really expensive.
Yeah.
Alternatively, this is a really out there idea. Olympia could have no residents, but they could still be a country, and it could consist entirely of commercial venues. No industry, no residential plots.
So it's just like...
It's just shops.
A tourist trap.
It's not a trap. It's an island.
Yes, but... all commercial stuff. Nothing else. Okay? So when the Olympics aren't going on...
It's like the place is a big mall.
So when the Olympics aren't going on, it's just abandoned for 4 years. That's the problem that we have.
Yeah. I'm trying to come up with some way
temporary stadiums. They dissolve after a week.
Okay. It has to be a country. I want it to be a country.
Because you thought of Olympia and you're really proud of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. Fine. It's a country. It doesn't have any residential. It doesn't have any commercial. It doesn't have any industry. It just hosts the Olympics. And then it's like they take a 3-year-long vacation from government. And then...
But the buildings are still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only problem is that we needed the commercial there so that the government could gain revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way that this government is going to make money is by the initial bids for the plots of land, or they could charge each country a annual fee to participate, which they probably do already.
I don't know if they do.
I don't know if they might not. It might just be each country holds it, and then they have to spend money to send their people there. Then that begs the question, how does the Olympic Committee get paid already at the current point? I bet they have to pay, like, some small fee right now. But they'd have to pay a larger fee to sustain an island.
Yeah. How do you ensure that no one's going to use the island? Because if it's just an island sitting there, maybe a country will get, I don't know, greedy, and then go ahead.
I have an email from Howard Piano Industries.
And it reads,
Hi, an order you recently placed on our website has had its status changed. The status of order, I'm not going to read the number, is now shipped. Date placed, June 28th. I'm going to track the package, and I'm going to reveal live on the air when it will get to my house. Are you ready?
Nope.
Label created, not yet in system.
Ah!
Ah! Goodbye! Okay.
You can probably see in the reflection, can't you?
Yes, I can. Good.
Great.
Grapes. Here's what we've got so far. This is the Word Solutions with Tangents podcast, so we need to come up with a solution to this. Okay? Okay?
How long is this?
We're going on 45 minutes.
Oh, that's kind of short.
Oh, well, I mean, we could still talk about the sports part. We've only talked about the logistics. Okay, here's what we've got so far. We have an Olympic island. We have countries build each facility on the island.
Mm-hmm.
What we need right now is, how do we pay for the island? Collectively.
Yeah.
And who's going to maintain it? And how do the countries, bid for it? Like, who do they pay the money to?
Wouldn't countries, if they each own a plot of land, wouldn't they all try to improve their building as it gets
but how do you
worse and
connect
worse?
them?
What do you mean?
How do you connect the building to building?
You just put them near each other and then build a walkway in between.
I guess I was thinking you have each plot, and then you have space in between each plot that's like common land.
Okay.
And that you walk between. Have you noticed on the boundaries of towns, you'll be going from like one town to the next, and all of a sudden the road goes from like really smooth to absolute garbage?
Milford? Yeah.
Okay, you didn't have to name names.
Milford,
Massachusetts.
Next to Hopkinton. Sucks.
Wait, Hopkinton sucks?
No.
Yes! I'm thinking if you place the plots of land directly next to each other, then what you might run into, and it's like, this might actually be kind of cool, but it's like discontinuity between the places.
This might be kind of cool.
I say that might be kind of cool because it's like walking from country to country, I guess.
You can stand in two different countries.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
Oh my god.
Each country owns a plot of land, but that country physically owns that land. So when you're standing there, you're on American soil, and then you walk like 2 feet and you're in China.
Yeah.
And then you walk another 2 feet and you're in Brazil. But then each country would have to have like a defense budget for the Olympic
Yeah, how do you
Islands.
know that countries won't militarize? You know, North
Militarize
Korea
the
is getting pretty
Olympics?
angsty, even though he just did something with Trump. I don't know. How do you know he's not going to put missiles on the island to get even closer to the United States?
That's a good point. Who is going to
You need a
manage?
treaty?
Who's going to manage the island, and who is going to monitor the island? I guess it would lie in the hands of the owning country to protect their facility, but that's really not what the Olympics are about.
Yeah.
The question is, if some terrorist wanted to come and bomb the Olympic island, how would we prevent that? Who would run the airport
Of
the Olympic island?
Is there just going to be one airport, or is every country going to need to build their own airport?
That seems incredibly wasteful.
Okay. Well, to ensure complete safety, I mean, what else would you do? Because if you choose any sort of citizen
then-
from any country, then people are going to be upset. Someone is. If the United States citizens run the airport, then someone in Asia is going to get ticked off, and then it's going to start
Okay, we
some
need
huge
an
disagreement.
Again, we're coming back to the impartial third party. So it should be the Olympic Committee, and we just need a way for them to make money. And then we've got it solved.
You could do commercial businesses. Just put shops and touristy things around the island so that way people will buy stuff, and then that's their way of making money. Word bubbles.
Daily challenge?
Yes.
Daily puzzle?
Yes.
Why don't you do it?
Okay. Wait, what was the notification? I lost it. Never mind.
I lost it.
Ahem. Oh, okay.
That was a bad move.
Why?
Because you didn't get it.
It's kind of hard.
People order out. Alright, fun time's over. You had your chance. What would they do with the commercial land in the years between the Olympics?
Nothing. That's the idea. Because they can't do anything with it. What would they do with it?
I don't know, you suggested it.
Exactly. They can't do anything.
Here's an idea. That's the third time I've said that. What if the countries that own the facilities have to pay annual rent? So in that case, they'd be leasing the property. In fact, that would make it a lot easier, because if they were leasing or if they were renting the property from the Olympic Island, the property would technically belong to the Olympic Island. So you wouldn't need to show your passport every time you wanted to go from soccer to beach volleyball.
Okay. That would make sense. What if a country wants to back out and they had a big plot of land that was used up, and now they're like, oh, we don't want to be in the Olympics anymore. Like, say if the United States didn't want to be in the Olympics.
Okay, then the country that purchases the land after them would either have the choice of using that facility or building a new one. But it's not the United States' land, so it's not like they could just back out last minute before the Olympics and say, we're tearing this down, because it's not their land.
It's not
They would
theirs.
have to ask the Olympic Committee to do that
Okay.
first.
So if
And-
you're saying every country is specific to an event.
Yeah.
So Brazil will build a soccer stadium, and the United States will build like a Olympic pool, and China will build a running track. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
So will people get bored of seeing same countries doing the same events?
I feel like this is the best compromise we can come up with between keeping things interesting and saving money by consolidating to one island.
Okay.
I would wonder whether we'd notice a trend, though. If the United States owned a swimming pool, would the U.S. consistently rank among the best swimmers? And if China owned a track, would they consistently win in track and field?
So would they... Are you saying, like, rig it?
No, because they would have to go through certain standards, and, I mean, they already do that when they build their own facilities in their own country, but that's only for 1 year. If they're constantly in their own stadium, do you think that would have an effect on the performance of the country?
Well,
they would still get attendance from other countries because they're all on the island.
Yeah, but I don't think it would have too much of an impact.
Okay, that's good. Do you think this would actually cost less in the long run? Because
instead of building new areas every 4 years in different countries,
would have to bid a lot of money for that land. And is this completely unfair to smaller countries?
Because they don't stand a chance.
I guess it's already unfair because
they never host.
They don't have enough money to host
right
now.
So it's like, not my problem.
Do you think that there should be a time of expiry for owning that land, where after a certain, say, 25 years, you have to rebid for the land? Just to give new and upcoming countries a chance?
Well, it shouldn't be 25 years because the Olympics is every 4 years. Another thing, is it gonna host the Summer and Winter Olympics?
Well, I think they'd have to build two different facilities.
So, obviously,
two different islands.
A northern island and a southern island.
Well, it depends on the time of year, actually. They only build one, and they build it at, like,
the equator.
They build it at, like, Massachusetts latitudes. Maybe a little higher, because it gets cold and warm there. So, they would obviously host the Winter Olympics during December, if it was in the Northern Hemisphere, and they'd host the Summer Olympics during July, during the summer.
Okay.
So then there's even more plots of land for people to buy. So would you allow people to buy multiple plots of land then? For summer and maybe one for summer, one for winter? Or would you just split it?
You can choose either the Summer or Winter Olympics, are you saying?
Yeah,
one country.
Which one do you think would be better?
I don't know. I think if you were given the option of choosing one or the other, like you couldn't have both, then obviously there'd be a trend of more northern countries choosing this Winter Olympics because, like, the Winter Olympics is much more praised in Sweden than the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
So obviously they would probably choose the Winter Olympics because it's more sacred to them. But somewhere like Brazil, where they hardly get any snow, and they're really focused on soccer, and
I guess it would kind of even out then.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So, final verdict. Do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah. I think it could work.
I'm just excited for there to be an island called Olympia.
There'd be 2 islands.
No, we're only building one, remember? No commercial required. But here's a question. What would they do with the island during the 3 years?
That's a fear that I had, because what if countries got anxious and decided, hey, free land that no one's on, why don't we take that for ourselves?
They could potentially host other events there, like
the World Cup.
The World Cup.
There'd be like one stadium, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that a problem? I guess they do play games concurrently, right?
Yes.
Well, maybe.
I mean, you can probably build 2.
No. Maybe that's actually they probably would build 2 because, like men's and women's soccer. But I mean,
men's and women's.
Men's and women's soccer. But I guess if they wanted to, I guess it would just be another place. They don't have to play there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be the only place. It could just be another place that they could play. They would have to have some sort of security over there for the 3 years. But They could run other events there. But then again, we're detracting from the whole why should a country build a stadium if, well, this land is open? I guess it might cost more to host it there. They'd have to pay the... If the United States owned the football stadium... I'm switching between football and soccer here.
Yeah.
If the United States owned the foot soccer stadium and other countries wanted to host some of their soccer events there, who would they pay? The United States or the Olympic Committee? Jeez, I'm not breathing. Now, I'm really comfortable talking about this. Goodbye.
They're like walking out the door crying. What am I gonna do?
Goodbye.
That cat's gonna ruin lives.
Who's gonna pay? Who's gonna pay? Who are they going to pay? Because they're using the United States' facilities, but
it's not their land though.
The U.S. technically doesn't own the land.
So it probably should go to Olympia.
Okay, let me ask you this. Somebody owns an apartment in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh.
Then they sign up for Airbnb and they rent out their apartment to somebody who's traveling to Boston.
So you're saying it shouldn't go to Boston, it should go to the person who owns the apartment?
Well, in this case, it would go to the tenant of the apartment, not the landlord.
Yeah.
Because it's their house. All that the tenant has to do is pay their monthly rent. And the landlord shouldn't care who's living there. So, as long as the U.S. is paying its rent...
Who cares who's using it?
What are we doing out there?
They're experts. Experts, Bob.
Did I do something illegal?
Sit down, Bob.
Did I do something illegal?
Yes!
I guess they would pay the U.S., in which case the U.S. holds a monopoly on the soccer industry. But I guess that just further incentivizes people to build their own stadiums.
Yeah.
So I guess into that end, we wouldn't really lose the magic of people having their own stadiums in their own countries. I don't know. I think economically it makes a lot of sense to have an island. I think emotionally it's way cooler for some to travel to different countries each year. And for things like the opening ceremony, they would obviously still trade that off year by year.
Yeah.
And the Olympic Committee would manage that.
But how would that work? Not really advertising wise, but when you're watching, like right now, the World Cup is going on. It says World Cup, Russia. And that's like the big thing, that it's in Russia. So would that detract from...
Yes, it would. I guess that's a big thing. Oh, the World Cup's in Russia this year. Well, I want to watch that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would be pretty cool. Olympia. No one's ever heard of it. It's a new thing. I guess it would be successful for 1 year, and then afterwards it would slowly die.
I think this might turn the Olympics from some really exciting thing into some... Oh, well, I guess the Olympics are on again.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, people love watching the events. But there's still some magic to seeing it in a different city every year. So economically, I think it makes a lot of sense. Economically, I'm on board with the island. Emotionally,
would you get tired of it? Let's pretend that you didn't create Olympia and this whole committee. Forget that you're really proud of this. Just imagine seeing 2022, 2024 Olympics, Olympia. Every 4 years, every 2 years.
It's like Disney World. Olympia.
What's like Disney World? I've never been to Disney World.
No?
No.
What's your problem?
Or Disneyland.
What's your problem?
Because my parents hate that place.
Really?
Yes. My mom can't stand it.
Why?
I don't know. She doesn't like the cartoon characters and going to theme parks. She doesn't like amusement parks very much. And Disneyland is like her worst nightmare. We're going to Disneyland!
It's like
I want to go to the dentist!
It's like Disneyland, because people are gonna travel there every time, and it's supposed to be some magical place, and you know, everyone's gonna be excited for it except your mom, and then if you go to Disneyland enough times, it gets old.
But it's still there, and a lot of people still like going there. It's not like their business is dying there. But then again, they have new attractions all the time.
Yeah, nothing.
And then they have like the castle, but that's like the...
I guess they would be adding new things to Olympia as new sports come on board.
Yeah.
And maybe one goes out of favor, so they take it away, but I think that happens less often.
How would we build the island? Because if it's in the middle of the ocean, isn't the seafloor miles below us?
I think we'd have to find an island.
We'd have to find one.
Yeah.
They just have a floating island chained to the bottom
Of the ocean?
Yeah. Instead of... Because there's no way that we're going to create land starting from the seabed to go all the way up, hit the surface, and then go all the way back down.
What if the tectonic plate that we chain the island to starts getting subducted under another plate during the Olympics? Then suddenly it's being dragged underwater. The soccer stadium floods.
Carry Walsh!
Swimmers just like start swimming across the whole stadium out of the pool. That would be funny.
That would not be funny. That would be a horrible tragedy. I mean, it would be funny for a second.
It would be... I think it would be really fun to travel to Olympia. But if... are you that motivated to travel to the Olympics right now?
No.
Why?
I'm not motivated to travel to the World Cup. That's for sure.
What about the Olympics?
Brazil, probably not. Because I can just watch it on my TV.
Is there a place that you would be... Where it could be, where you would be interested
Los Angeles is supposed to host which Olympics? Is it
2024?
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
It was between like LA and Boston, and I'm glad they chose LA because I don't want...
But you would be interested in going to LA?
I think so.
Why?
Because it's nearby.
Okay.
Because I don't want to... Obviously, it would be a very great and cool experience to see all these teams and all these people play, but I'm not going to travel to Brazil just to see it and then come back because, I don't know, it's just not my thing.
So
if it was closer, then I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll go see it. I'll go check it out.
So it's...
Obviously, the Olympics last for weeks, but...
So it's entirely a matter of distance.
Sure.
You're not really...
I'm not motivated to... I don't have an emotional connection to, oh, I must see the Olympics. This is the year that I'm going to go. I need to see this.
I was wondering if you were going to say, I'd be interested in going to LA because, well, there's a lot of stuff to do around there. I don't really care about Brazil because, you know, what's in Brazil?
I mean, I guess that has a part two. Part two!
Part two. Okay, so you would be interested in the surrounding tourist attractions.
Sure. We'll say that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would feel that way. They want to go to the Olympics and they want to be able to do something else while they're there. They're not actually going for the sports. Because as fun as it can be to go to a sporting event, like I've been to some football games, it's really not that much more fun to go to a football game and watch it than to watch it on TV.
Yeah. I mean, you have a better view on TV anyway. Yeah. I mean, unless you have very close seats. But those are $2,000 a piece, and I'm not spending that much on a football game.
I want to see attendance at the Olympics and price of Olympic tickets over the years and see if both of those things have gone down. Because I feel like as the world progresses, we might actually be moving away from a point where people want to go to the Olympics It might be far off, but
I mean,
I can envision a situation
because
where,
everyone has a screen.
I can envision a situation where all the Olympic Committee has to do is put down a 360-degree camera right on the sidelines, and you put on your VR headset, and you're there.
It's like you're there.
In which case, well, I guess we would still need an Olympic Island because we'd still need
It would still need to happen.
we would need an impartial area,
Mhm.
but people wouldn't really be going.
But
But that wouldn't really matter because we didn't mention ticket sales anywhere in our budget.
yeah.
All we know is that countries pay. Okay, so then what's the incentive for countries to buy land there?
Views.
Like
I don't-
one-upmanship of each other.
I mean, is that really enough?
Well, if we said let's give the countries the ticket sales,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how many people want to see soccer, the U.S. gets all the soccer ticket sales. I really don't think that would be a lot in comparison to how much they'd be paying to bid for the land and to build the facilities and to pay rent. So I think the ticket sales are kind of useless.
So that goes back to the question: is this gonna, in the long run, be cheaper than building at a new Olympic zone every year in a different place, every 4 years in a different place?
I think it'll still be cheaper, but because
It's gonna cost a lot of money up front,
yeah,
and then eventually,
and well they'll have to update the facilities because it's the Olympics. It's got to be cutting edge, and people. I'm just wondering how much of an effect does ticket sales have on the Olympics? Because even if nobody went, they'd still need somewhere to perform, and there's definitely demand for it on TV. Lots of people watch it, so it's not like people hate the Olympics. People love the Olympics. They just don't love going to it. And if you don't really care about people going to it, then why would you care about tourism? In which case, why wouldn't you build this island? Because you're not trying to attract people to some place. Like, the surrounding area doesn't matter anymore.
so the only form of, not really income for the island is paying rent from other countries.
Yes.
How much does an Olympic ticket cost?
Who would police that?
I'm not sure.
No, not that. The rent.
How much?
Because the Olympic Committee would own a monopoly on the Olympic market. There are no other Olympics. So, who decides how much it's going to cost?
range from $196 to about $1,335.
Okay, that's not outrageous.
No, that's less than a Super Bowl ticket.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Just gonna throw that out there.
You know? Okay, so with that, ticket sales don't matter. I mean, how many people can attend a game? Like 40,000 people in a stadium? Is that a reasonable number?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So 40,000 times 1,000. Let's say it's $1,000 per ticket.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the high end. That's $40 million in revenue. I wouldn't imagine countries having to pay more than $40 million a year in rent.
Okay.
I imagine that the bids would probably be somewhere in the hundreds of millions.
Okay.
Although, where would the country get the money to do that?
Which country?
The country's bidding. Where does that come out of the budget? Are they using taxpayer money to...
That's... I don't know. That seems a little unfair.
I mean, I guess they already do that. I guess they already use taxpayer money to build stadiums if the Olympics come there. So they're
Yeah, but it's
essentially
kind of
just-
like you're spending money not going to your country. Kind of. Because it's not going to... I don't know. It just doesn't seem
it
like a
doesn't
big
even-
enough benefit.
You're right. It doesn't even matter if the argument is logical or not, because that's how people are going to feel. And people only care about feelings when they think about...
People fight with emotions.
Yes. So, final verdict. Olympia. Great idea. I don't know if we should do it.
So, plan B? The moon.
What would we call that? Chupi? Seti? Nepi? Pluty?
What? Saturn to Pluto?
Chupi? 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 Chupi?
Chicos. Chupi.
Well, I mean,
rips the earth.
we're going on an hour and a half here, and I mean, we did waste like 15 minutes. In
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of
thing.
wasted time.
I was going to suggest that we could talk about some sports that are in the Olympics that maybe shouldn't be, or should be. But,
What shouldn't be in the Olympics? What sports do you have in mind?
Well, I want to say race walking.
Race walking. Yeah. That's a thing?
You've never seen race walking.
I can imagine what it is.
Okay, you have to say it.
I can imagine what it is.
No, you can't.
I can. Olive Garden.
Olympic race walking. All right,
Let the celebration begin. Get to America's best sales event for big savings on our
So what do you
latest
think?
tech and our full line, including Road.
I don't know what to say.
SUV.
Now's the time to save with exclusive offers like.
In 1908, Olympics founder Pierre de Coubertin spoke the phrase that would become the Olympic creed. The important thing in life is not the triumph, but the fight. The essential thing is not to have won, but to have fought well. This is the fight. This is race walking.
Oh my god.
Why are they walking? This is an Olympic event where men and women walk 20 kilometers, 12.4 miles, and men go as far as 50 kilometers, 31 miles. And the best go at less than 7 minutes a mile. 7 minutes.
It's hypnotic and
Hypnotic?
Very, call it hip action. It's very dancey.
They look like they're rushing to the bathroom. Tell me, do we know why they walk like that?
Oh, look at that guy. He's taking a tight corner.
We do know why they're walking like that. People study this. There are actually dozens of papers about race walking. I talked to one researcher
Okay,
who...
so here's
Oh
the
my
thing.
God.
Here's the thing. Race walking.
No, we're not getting rid of that. We're keeping that one.
Race walking, I think, is...
Useless.
I've done a little research on race walking.
Oh.
The rules are that you have to go from the start to the finish as quickly as possible while walking, which means that both of your feet cannot be off the ground simultaneously. If they are, you're disqualified, because that's classified as running. So what they do is they have people lined up across the side of the race walking track monitoring this. And they are there to make the call as to whether it happens or not. If you look at high-speed footage of people race walking, you'll notice that almost all of them are actually running. Both of their feet come off the ground at once. But that's something that can't really be seen by the human eye. And it's a stipulation in race walking rules that the race walking officiators cannot use visual aids to help them in determining whether somebody is walking or running. They just have to use their eyes. They can't use magnifying glasses. They can't use high-speed cameras. They can't use weight sensors in the track. So essentially, race walking is just running, just trying to be a sport, and they're creating these dumb rules around it just to make it work for them.
Yeah, I can see why. That's not enjoyable to watch.
No, I think it's very enjoyable to watch.
Well,
Did you see how those people were walking?
I can see John Krasinski. That's his web's most searched questions.
Hey, I'm John Krasinski, and this is the Wired autocomplete interview. I'm pretty sure 3 or 4 of them are my mom's questions. All right, perfect. Is John Krasinski an Eagles fan? Absolutely not. I'm offended you even asked. I'm a Patriots fan, and I'm still not over it. Is John Krasinski Polish? Yes, I am. That last name is not Irish, and it is not fake. Is John Krasinski married to Jenna Fisher? Contrary to popular belief, no. I'm actually married to Emily Blunt, and I feel pretty good about it. Is John Krasinski related to Jane? Pretty sure you mean Jane Krakowski, and she's not related to me, though I get it. I totally get it. Who is John Krasinski? That's a great question. And
This isn't topical. So, this week we talked about Olympia and race walking. So I hope you learned something, and I hope that was helpful.